Right. So, as part of Jira administration is concerned, when we are working on Jira application, we have learnt about screens, right? So we have learnt about screen schemes, all that stuff in the previous session. Wherein today we are going to discuss about how to add a workflow screen scheme. Okay, because as part of the Jira admin, when we are working on multiple projects and with multiple teams and all. So we require to make some initial configuration. Depends on the project activity the teams may perform. Either it can be based upon the kind of role they play, right? So they may be technical team, right? So testing team, all that. In that regard, it's always important for us to create some workflow schemes in workflows, especially as part of Jira. So I'm going to take an example over here, right? So one example for code testing is an issue that I'm always going to take here. So code test is an example I'm just taking, right? So this is a name that I have given. So description has to write first. Description as follows. Code need to be tested by the team to evaluate the quality followed by any errors. Okay. So that's what something that defects or errors, whatever. Right. So here we have added a workflow item. Okay. Workflow item is something that we have added here. So wherein you can see it. Right. So this is where generally the workflow scheme that I have created, which is called code test. Now, if we want to add any workflow or if you want to add an existing workflow, there are two options. If you want to create a workflow by adding to the existing one, that can be done. Or else if there is any kind of workflow that were already existed, so that we can take it. The third option, we can choose it from the marketplace, because in the marketplace, there are a lot of products available on Jira marketplace. That depends on the team requirement. This can be taken. So that is about add workflow. This is about the choose. It means if you want to build any kind of workflows or something like. So again, if you want to add any existing workflow, there were two options. If you want to build a workflow, you can take it. Or else classic default workflow is something that we can see over here. Okay, this is something that we can take. Okay, so this is something that we can take it, right? So you can, if you want to choose the classic Jira default workflow, we can take, or else if you want to build any kind of workflow, we can take it. So I've just chosen the build workflow over here. So the next. Now, assign issue types to build workflow, right? So what are the issue types that you are going to assign? Okay, that is something that we need to be decided. So issue types, I am taking the stories because stories are the one which majorly we need to see, because whatever the story that as a functionality developed the code by the development team, that has to be tested. So stories are the issue types I'm taking because Epic directly you're not developing here. At the same time, if you want to select all unassigned issue types also can be, but I've taken stories as a example. Okay, stories as an example wherein you can click on finish. Right. So here we have taken, so Jira workflows we have taken here. At the same time, building workflow wherein the major issue type that we have taken is a story, whatever the story that we are developing. So for that, the code testing required to be performed. So what we have done is we have added the workflows. Okay, this is something that we have done. Right? So this is something that we have to be done. So next, we need to perform an action. Okay, action of assigning. To whom are these assigning? Or if there is any kind of text or any kind of diagram that we wants to create, or if you want to build any kind of workflow over here. So this workflow that we can take. Yeah. So these were the options that we are having. Okay. These were the different options that we have, right? So in progress, right? So the in progress state, right? So at the same time, it can be reopened or it can be closed. Different options can be seen when we are working on the workflows, etc. So we can see what are the workflows we have, all that stuff. So issue creation is something that can be done, right? So because when we are working on this, we must understand the issue creations. At the same time, we need to do the testing, right? So we need to test the test results. Okay. So at the same time, if there is any kind of bugs that are to be fixed, etc., everything that can be done. So this is an open state where we have created an issue here. At the same time, once it was opened, so this is stated on the stop progress, right? So in progress, what are the progress that we have created? And if you want to reopen it, or if you want to resolve at the same time, if you want to close those, you can write down. So this is for the workflow from a diagrammatical representation. Or else if you want to create this in a text format, right? So if you want to create a text format, this is how generally these are the different steps that we have, right? So one was the first one about the open part. So open where the start process is something that we do. Okay, that is the first thing. We need to build a no screen where we are building over here. Followed by this, is there any kind of resolving issues or close issues? Everything can be seen here from the open point of view. Next, in progress, resolved, reopened, closed and building, and build broken. So these are the different workflow steps that need to be configured when we are working on the when we are working on an example that we have taken for code testing, right? So because we have opened the process, assume that the process of doing performing the code, the kind of test that we are about to do, right? So everything will be in the under the progress. Next one about the assume that the code testing functionality or the issue that we have taken was resolved. So it will be considered as completed and it will be closed automatically. We can close it. So for the close screen, we can, for example, if you want to close it, right? So if you want to have any kind of workflow screen for the uh, closed item, okay? So this you can choose, okay? This you can choose what are the different fields we have, right? For example, actual start button you want. At the same time, actual end, right? So these are the two things that we want to be configured. So wherein we can configure if there is any kind of additional tabs that are to be added, so that we can do it. Okay, that can be done according to the requirements, etc. So if you want to add any kind of tabs or something, that we can do it. So that facilities that we have. So depends on the kind of workflow schemes that we have, or the kind of screen items that we have taken over here. So this is how generally any application that we are taken, right? So whenever we are creating any workflow schemes or something, wherein we can update, okay, whatever the workflow schemes we have, etc. Everything can be updated based upon the requirement what we have, so that we can make necessary changes on the project, whatever the project that we are working on, so that we can create those workflows. So for that, as in when I'm saying, right, so this is where generally the settings you need to go. So here you have to configure all that. Okay, you have to configure all the items, right? So what, because we have taken, you assume that we have taken already here, right? So this we have taken, and if you want to be added, so we can add it and we can perform it accordingly, right? So this is something which from the workflow schemes, from the basic understanding, is what something that we have learned, right? So how this can be, workflow can be created. So that part I will be discussing in the next session.